Chris Stevenson here at Rideau View's Outstanding Game Improvement Center with head pro Paul Charat. Paul, there's a little bit, I think, of a mystique about club fitting that it might only be for the elite player. I think, one of the many things that make up the experience here at Rideau View is being able to tap into your expertise as a club fitter. Who can benefit from having a club fitting session?
I think everybody can benefit from having a club fitting session. It's interesting, depending on, nobody plays the game the same way. So there's accomplished players, there's recreational warriors, there's people trying to break 100 for the first time. There's something in it for every one of those skill groups.
The benefits of it, I guess, number one is it's going to at least reassure you that you're using the right equipment for where you are in the stage of your game at that time. Exactly.
So better players, competitive golfers, single-digit handicaps, down to scratch, down to golf professionals. The equipment changes every 2 years, roughly. There's significant innovation in the equipment. There's something in there for them to get retested every couple of years to see if they can take advantage of it. Now, since the major changes back in the COR days, with the 0.83, 0.86 debate with the USGA, anything manufactured after that, there's limited improvement potential for the better player, I believe. For the better player, they can narrow their shot dispersion, so they might not get extra distance, they can get extra average distance.
Yeah.
The average player can get the same thing, maybe a tighter shot dispersion. They can have their missed shots managed by the equipment. Some people can find out that the equipment they have is every bit as good as the new stuff, and it saves them an equipment purchase. So it's a good investment, and that's a benefit of club fitting. Well, they find out that their stuff really works.
And that's one of the benefits of being here at Rideau View and being able to tap into your expertise, because if you decide by looking at the data that comes from one of these club fitting sessions that the benefit for them is that you're going to say, you know what you've got is working perfectly fine for you now.
Yeah, in a conversation with somebody, I was saying that, just roughly guessing, probably every 10 club fittings that I personally do, I would say there's 4 of them result in confirmation that their existing equipment is working quite well for them. So that, of course, gives them an opportunity to open the door to the question, well, how do I improve my game if my golf equipment performs well?
Good point.
We've eliminated the golf equipment as a source of trouble. So then that allows them to zero in, or allows me to zero in a little bit more on how they can improve their score. Because hitting balls and playing a game are 2 different animals. Right. Someone can learn to hit the ball better and still not score better, because the game is played a certain way, and there's strategies and tactics involved in it, and eliminating the equipment out of the equation is good.
Takes one of the variables out of the equipment.
Yeah, because the one thing you want to do is, obviously the person, the human, is the uncontrollable variable. Even on the tour, the best players in the world don't hit it as well on the golf course as they do on the practice range, and they do. That happens because no matter how good they are, when they get on the course, there's interference, the wind, the bunkers, the indecision over where to land the ball, etc., etc., etc. So being able to eliminate variables for the club for the average player gives them the peace of mind.
All right, well, let's find out if what I've got in my hand works for me.
Okay, let's get started.
So we've started the club fitting process here.
Great job, by the way.
Thank you. I'm getting in front of the TrackMan. And one of my favorite expressions that you have about the club fitting process is that it's part science, part art. And the TrackMan is obviously supplying us with all the science that we need. What's the art part of it? What's the part of it that you bring to it?
Well, the science part is optimizing ball flight. So ball flight would be optimized, let's say, with creating launch conditions that give the optimum combination relative to the club head speed of launch angle and spin. So today's golf clubs are designed to keep the ball in the air as long as possible. 40 years ago, the spin on the ball was designed to get the ball up in the air to height, but then it fell early. The art part has evolved since we started doing dynamic club fitting in the mid-90s. We used to use line-angle tape, and we fit.
And dynamic just referring to the fact that you're doing it while the person's hitting the ball.
Right. So what we're doing is we used to put line-angle tape on the bottom of the club, and we'd want to see where the bottom of the club impacted the ground, because that has a major effect on ball flight. Today we don't use impact tape anymore. We understand that we have to have an appropriate line angle, but we can have an appropriate line angle for a ball flight, not necessarily for a machine to measure it's being hit on the bottom. So I guess the art part comes in replacing the computer, because if a computer was fitting, it would take empirical information on line angle, and it would just say this guy needs this line angle, or this person needs this line angle. Whereas today, we can soften a draw or soften a fade a little bit by changing line angle to suit the player. You can use the shaft to affect a person's timing. Like a shaft is really a timing device, and I'm not a shaft junkie where I can tell you the flex points and the weight and everything on a shaft and the torque and everything. I just am looking at what ball flight optimizes, and I go a lot by the sound of impact, because the proper shaft flex, which the person's responding to, they respond to where they feel the club head, where they feel the weight. That tells them when to start to change a direction. It's just like a fly fisherman. You know, if the rod's got no flex in it, they'd have trouble knowing when to return the rod this way to throw the fly forward. So that's the art part of it, and I think being able to see the full flight of the ball rather than just to see an extrapolation on a computer screen because the ball hits a net 10 feet in front of you. That's not my way of doing it. I want to see the ball fly.
Now, through the process, so I established, I guess, a baseline by hitting my Titleist AP1.
Exactly. That's a couple of generations old now. I've had 4 years maybe.
7-14, so yeah.
Okay, so
3 years.
So this is the newest AP1.
Okay.
So we'll take a baseline off this one.
Yeah.
I'll have you hit this one, but I'll also can have you hit any one of the clubs we have. So there's.
And that's another benefit here at Rideau View, is that you've got all the manufacturers here.
If you're not committed to Titleist by product loyalty, you may find a surprise hidden there with another golf club that hits it that much better.
All right, let's give this one a try.
All right.
Now, Paul, I'm a bit of a golf nerd, golf geek. This is one of my favorite parts of the club fitting process, is actually getting the opportunity to see the data that comes from the TrackMan. And obviously comparing clubs, the first thing you want to know is, like, is there a better club out there for me? Part of it's vanity, I think. You want to know how far you hit it. Another part of it's practicality. It's good to know how far you hit your 7-iron. But what can you extract from this data?
Well, we get to look at a lot of lines of data.
Yeah.
But the ultimate thing is, where does the ball finish? And some of the data can be a little misleading, and there's some categories of information that seem to contradict. But the ball flight is the ball flight. So we get interesting numbers on spin rate, attack angle, and club head speed.
Why are those three important?
Well, the golf ball doesn't know what you're doing or how you're swinging or what's hitting it. It just knows what direction the object that hit it is going in, and what's the attitude of the face of that object relative to impact, or the line that it's moving down, or the line of compression, some people would call it. So those things are really interesting, because impact conditions, which is attack angle, attitude of the face, and the direction of the club. Those impact conditions, depending on what the lie angle is of the golf club and the shaft, are going to give you the outcome of the golf ball. So to me, hitting a golf ball is a computer printout. You run a program, impact creates ball flight, and the ball flight's to me, is like a printout of the equation. So that confirms to me, going backwards, what was going on. This thing gives you clear data that you may not be able to see. So in this one, I'll show you. to stats.
Yeah.
And I can pull up. We'll start with your 7er.
Yeah.
So your 714. So there it gives me all the hard numbers. And if I add in the AP1, the new generation, so we're 2 generations, I think, then I get this. There's very little difference in club speed.
Yeah.
Tack angles are identical. Club paths are almost identical. Face angles are almost identical, within 1/10 of a degree. That's pretty amazing. Ball speed is quicker with yours. The launch angle is higher, and the spin is a couple of hundred RPM higher. Therefore, it keeps the ball in the air a little longer. And your old club actually outflies by 5 yards. Your new one. No, that's a small sample.
Yeah.
But it's just a starting point. And the landing angles are the same. So, in this particular comparison between these 2 golf clubs, it favors your old golf club. Now, you have an exotic shaft in your golf club that is not in the club I gave you. So the 716, the AP1,
yeah,
or 917, sorry, 716.
716.
Yeah, it had the NS Pro shaft in it, but this has got an exotic version of that, and this clearly is the difference.
Now just quickly now, how much impact can the shaft have on club performance?
Huge, huge, because the shaft is what gets you back to the ball. Yeah. It's a timing device. To me, it's not a technical thing. And here's the art of fitting. It's a timing device that it allows you, with the proper weight of the shaft and flex, allows you to feel where the club head is, and automatically, instinctively start your downswing or your change of direction on time.
So in this instance, you tell me to stick with what I'm using right now.
Absolutely.
It's good to know. And it's only information you can get from being here and trying this in this great environment.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.